Hey everyone, welcome to this daily Sidereal Astrology forecast. This is for Tuesday, November 8th, 2016. I'm Athen, and this channel is about using the actual constellations in the sky known as Sidereal Astrology. If you are new to the channel, be sure to check out the link down below because the signs are different. Alright, so today we are still in the first quarter phase, which means a good time to take some steps and initiate some things that maybe we started last week or whatever's been sort of surfacing since last week. Now the moon is going to be in Aquarius, or at least shifting into Aquarius here today, which does signify this collective boost to our progressive side. All right, so specifically the second half, really tapping into our individuality and the freedom that that brings. You know, Aquarius is all about accessing who we truly are, the freedom that that brings, and then giving back as a result. You know, it's Aquarius, it's the water bearer pouring water into the river for all to drink, right? So it makes it very community oriented, or at least in its highest octave, you know, of giving, of progressiveness, and that type of thing. So I think a great day for that, when finding the middle path with freedom, individuality, and progressiveness. Now, this is all in relation to the sun, who has recently shifted into Libra, which does signify this focus on balance. And so this can be balanced in our life. I think it's an excellent day to continue to see if there's any area of life or areas of life that might be imbalanced, where we can bring back balance to them. It might have to do with relationships as well, maybe focusing on harmony, a bit of cooperation, focusing on others' needs. These are great sources of energy right now with the sun in Libra. Mercury's in Libra, so our mind is here, and we could be communicating things in a fair and just sort of fashion. Now, this week, we do have Venus going into Sagittarius today. In fact, she's going to be going over the galactic center. So there's this transformation occurring with our values. And Mars is going into Capricorn. But let's talk about this Venus. So Venus is about our values in life, right? And this can be our material values, but also our relationship values. And so going over the galactic center, this is suggesting that there's this past energy being released, this transformation. You know, the galactic center is the black hole in the center of the galaxy. Things are being drawn out of it. And what's being drawn out is what's unhealthy, so that we can have the healthier expression of our values, healthier expression of our relationships. So it's a really good day, first of all, I think, to be open to change with our values, with our relationships. And as a result, I think maybe making some changes to do that. It might be, you know, seeing who we value in our life, being grateful for who we value, being grateful for what we have in our life on a material level. And it could also be this maybe change with relationships in general, making some sort of change, maybe initiating new relationships in our life as well. All right, so I think those are great things to consider here today. And as we go into the rest of the week, Venus will go into Sagittarius, which does mean our relationships do get a bit free-spirited, a bit boosted, a bit more optimistic, or discussing more lighter things. Because Venus has been in Scorpio and Ophiuchus, which has been very deep. This has been about openness, vulnerability, intimacy, all that deeper stuff, which isn't so comfortable for Venus. But Venus going into Sag now as the week unfolds. After this transformation, a bit of the lighter, free-spirited energy there. So Mars is shifting into Capricorn. This does signify, as the week unfolds as well, this more disciplined approach to our actions. At least that's a really good way of working with it. You know, Mars is about getting things done. Mars is about motivation. Mars is about our drives and our desires. Going into Capricorn does mean that, first of all, Mars is exalted here, so it gets boosted, but we have a greater sense of the bigger picture, right? Where Mars was in Sagittarius, we got a bit inspired this past month or so, but now with Mars going into Capricorn, it's really about building things. And so I think that's a great way of working with it, seeing where we can have a bit of discipline, a bit of structure, really focusing on the long-term desires in our life. And I think collectively we will be willing to do that, which is good and can be very productive there. All right, so that's the transits in terms of the planets changing signs. Now we do have some aspects here with the moon today. On a minor note, the moon will be sextiling up to Uranus, again confirming that Aquarius free-spirited sort of energy. And this might have a lot to do with the changes that occurred yesterday, which was the sun sextiling Pluto. So if you felt like yesterday there were some inner changes, or maybe there were some outer changes, it is a great day, I think, to continue with that. And with a sextile up to Uranus, maybe mixing some things up. Again, tapping into that progressive spirit. Now, the moon is going to be squaring up to Mercury, so I do want to say it's a great day to bring some extra attention to communication, bring some extra attention to the mind, just to make sure nothing is getting out of imbalance with either of these, because we might be saying some things, we might be doing some things in the routine, we might be thinking about things a bit in excess or just in an imbalanced way. I mean, I'm not saying we will, but there's this propensity towards that. So I think with awareness, with, you know, that present moment awareness I always talk about, bringing extra attention to the communication, bringing extra attention to the mind, it can help balance all of this out. And as a result, I think it can be a constructive day for the routine, for personal development, self-improvement, justice. Again, Mercury's in Libra, cooperation, harmony, and all that good stuff. Now, the moon will be sextiling Venus, again confirming that, yes, I think it's a great day for these new beginnings or this transformation with relationships. All right, definitely support with that. And I also want to mention, too, on a minor note, Neptune and the South Node are getting very close to each other. They're going to go exact next week on the 17th, but it is very collectively significant. So as this week unfolds, I think it's still good to ask ourselves if there's any unhealthy patterns having to do with Neptune. Because the South Node draws out, again, just like that galactic center, draws out the unhealthy quality of things. So with Neptune, imbalanced Neptune, some examples of that might be idealism, over-idealism, fantasies, illusions. It might have to do with escapism, if you feel like there's any of that going on in your life. But it could also be the under extreme, which is more of the lethargy or, you know, nihilism, not wanting to actually do anything. So if you're feeling any extreme, and again, I don't think it's an emphasis for today, but as we go into next week, seeing if you have a balanced Neptune, let's say. And a balanced Neptune is about acceptance, it's about presence, it's about really living in the now moment, being grateful for what we have, and focusing on what's immediately here, and connecting to God, you know, and connecting to life in and of itself. But it all happens in that present moment. So if we find ourselves projecting into the future, you know, that's a sure sign that Neptune is becoming imbalanced, which again can cause the idealism or the fantasies or the, you know, even, what do you call it, like the, you know, confusion and doubt. Because Neptune, when we project in the future at all, where there's, you know, it creates uncertainty and doubt, and that can be a confusing thing. So, so good there to bring some balance, and also to our progressive side. I think with the moon going into Aquarius, good to have that harmony. You know, it's good to have freedom, individuality, but of course with moderation. All right, so that's the day in a nutshell. I think the emphasis will be certainly on this first quarter phase, a good time to take steps, a great day for healthy freedom, individuality. There's transformations occurring with the relationships, with our values, and a shift this week towards what I think can be a productive time of seeing the long-term picture. All right, so so I do want to talk about the election here today because it is going on in the United States. I've been getting a lot of questions about this, so I'm going to go ahead and highlight what I feel like is important in the astrology. Now, a lot of you who know me, and especially those who've gotten a reading from me, know that I don't do firm predictions. You know, I believe astrology is best utilized for our personal growth, our personal development, and it doesn't make firm predictions. You know, I feel like the astrology is sort of showing us the construct of our lives, right? What's the arena, what's the environment? But within that environment, within that construct, I believe we have free will. And so I think in this sense with the election, I think it can go either way, but I do want to bring your attention to some things that I think might be fun or entertaining, you know, to see who might win, but also maybe help you make some predictions if that's something that you'd like to do. All right, so the two major things that are standing out to me with this is that Venus is going into Sagittarius and Mars is going into Capricorn. And what's so interesting about this is, first of all, they're happening at the same time, right, which is rare, but it also is two different archetypes. You've got the feminine archetype, female, Venus, and you've got the masculine, male archetype, Mars. And they're both shifting and changing. Now, if it was one of these, you know, I might be focusing on Hillary with it, or I might be focusing on Trump with it, but it's both. Something is changing with both archetypes. And so first looking at Venus, you know, Venus, let's say symbolically representing Hillary, it's also representing a very momentous time if a female does become president in the United States. You know, a woman, that would be the first time that has ever happened. So that could be part of this whole transformation process. You know, Venus going over the galactic center, something transforming collectively about our perspective of women, of the female archetype, let's just say. And so that could be what's going on symbolically. And then, of course, Venus going into Sagittarius would signify this sort of free-spirited, open-mindedness going on about those types of matters. And symbolically representing perhaps Hillary going into an optimistic state and seeing possibilities. Now, on the other hand, though, Mars is going into Capricorn, and as a lot of you know, Capricorn is about the system. Capricorn is about the government, and so this could quite literally mean that Trump, representing, again, in an archetypal sense, symbolically, Trump, male in this sense, going into Capricorn, going into government. So it could mean that. Now, again, I don't make firm predictions, but if I had to say one way or another, based on these transits, it looks like Hillary because of the fact that, again, there's this transformation occurring. Although, Venus over the galactic center isn't the strongest thing for Venus, which means not the strongest thing for Hillary, in the sense that, that black hole is drawing energy out of that archetype. But at the same time, where there's endings, there's also new beginnings, and that's always the sort of theme about the galactic center. When things go over, as a result, it goes into Sagittarius, and it's much more, exalted, we could say, or just more, open and free. So, but it could mean that, yeah, maybe there's something being drawn out, and this again means Trump going into office or into government, to the system. But the way I'm seeing it actually is, again, if I had to choose, and I'm just doing this mostly for fun, I'm not making a hardcore prediction, but if I had to choose one, I would say it looks like Hillary because of this fact, and also because Mars going into Capricorn could mean that there's a lot of anger towards the system, because that's essentially what's going on. Like, there's not a whole lot of people voting for Hillary, because a lot of the people who voted and who got really passionate this election were actually people who wanted change, to change the system. And unfortunately, and I'm sure some of you will disagree with me on this, but I firmly believe Hillary's going to continue with what's already going on. And so there's no real change occurring with this. And so this could mean a lot of anger, or a lot of, intensity, Mars energy going into government, towards the system. Okay, so it could mean that. And I think it might, lean more towards that. And then the moon in Aquarius, though, could mean that, with this whole... if Trump does get elected, it could be this this progressiveness coming in, or this, because Aquarius is like Uranus. It's very revolutionary, right? And so it can be also kind of riled up, because I know if Trump did get elected, there would be a lot of things riled up, because that's what the energy is behind Trump and towards Trump. So so it could mean that, but I don't see it as a significant thing, especially because there's just not a whole lot of aspects going on. If, we had like a square to Uranus or a trine to Uranus, I would say, okay, yeah, collectively, this looks like there might be something getting riled up collectively, and because that's what would likely happen. But I'm not seeing it. In fact, it just looks like another day, like a continuation of what's going on. And so that's what it looks like from the aspects. And I do want to mention tomorrow, the day after, if there is information, because a lot of times, the election can go into the late evening. If there's information that comes to light about who got elected, it could be drawing on this moon going over Neptune in the South Node. And so this could be, especially from all of us who've wanted change in the system, have already been feeling this sort of, okay, things are just more of the same kind of a thing. But maybe once we find out it's Hillary, it might solidify that, and then that would emphasize Neptune in the South Node, I think, being this, again, this acceptance, but it's not really acceptance, because there's all these other feelings being drawn out of it. What will end up being is more acceptance, which I think is good, more receptivity as a result, collectively speaking, but it could also be the the nihilistic type of approach of defeatism, or, nothing's really changing and that kind of a thing. If it is Trump, it could be that this is, Aquarius, this is about progressive ideas and things, which you could argue that Trump or Hillary are more progressive, but, Hillary is all about, at least what she preaches, is all about equality and these types of things, whether it's true or not. And so it could be that if Trump gets elected, maybe these ideals we had about equality and all this stuff is being drawn out. Okay, so as you can see, it can really go either way. And I totally believe in free will. I think it can go either way. But if I had to make a firm prediction, I would say it looks like it's leaning more towards Hillary. But I could be wrong. And again, I'm really just doing this for fun. A lot of you have been asking me, so I thought I'd make a video about it. But again, I do want to emphasize that astrology is best utilized for personal growth and personal development. And that's really my intention with these videos. And so hopefully I've done that for you. And I hope you guys have an awesome day. Thank you so much for all of your support. And I'll see you all tomorrow.